everyone who's watching in the recording. Today's topic is overcoming insecurities, following the request from the previous live stream from one of my subscribers. Overcoming insecurities. Let's wait for the audience to gather, and we're going to begin. Sound, I hope, is working. Kiushka, hello? Feedback on sound, please. Ayman, hello? Sound is working. Wonderful news, wonderful news. As I promised, today we're working on overcoming insecurities. There she is, yes, Hippocrates. Hello. Today I'm totally culturally appropriating. No, totally culturally appropriating will be with this shirt. With this one. Not culturally appropriating, but being inappropriate. Actually, totally inappropriate. Let's just do it. Why not? Oops. Good topic. Yes, Kiva, it was requested. It was not mentioned, it was requested. It was commanded to me. You know, when you switch sides, you realize how crooked you are. My entire life, I was sitting in the classrooms such that the teacher is there, and I have to face like with the torque like this. Right now, with whiteboard, it's totally out of my comfort zone. Yes, I'm being inappropriate with chopsticks and the sushi theme. And I don't know what's appropriate nowadays, what's not necessarily. So I just assume that everything is inappropriate, and then we're thinking of why it is appropriate. That's how modern world works. So yeah, it's this torque is totally unnatural for my body right now. So I don't know. But I need to train both ways. Modern world sucks. I don't know if it sucks because it always was peculiar at every stage of its development. It's just a matter of who you talk to, I think, and what class you belong to. Wait. Another task of mine is to not flash today anything. So Jesus is our security. We have fresh religious propaganda, so let's get notes ready, Kiva. Religious propaganda and thank you, Aima. Let's do all messages in the chat. Is Kiva mod yet? No. We had, but by the way, Hippocrates, for the last several streams, we've been having a very, very modest size audience and not necessarily many colorful people. So there was no need for moderator. I don't know, perhaps I need to start VPNing from the States such that I have a bigger audience. Again, I don't know what happened, but I just don't seem to hit algorithm. Alman, hello? Very good streak. Yes, it's very good streak. On the one hand, because I enjoy the substance in our chat. I super enjoy that everyone's on the same page, that everyone is doing some focused work. At the same time, I want my channel to grow as well. I want exposure because I have gathered a ton of people in the past 2 months. So I kind of get this dopamine addiction now to seeing the number grow. So that's something that I also appreciate. Wait, what mod? Did I miss something? No, I didn't miss anything. We're just discussing the moderator, your moderator role. Ready for the topic? Elman yesterday joined. Where is the author of this proposal, by the way? Overcoming Insecurities. Whoever exists, do you have insecurities? Let's drop in the chat. Do you have insecurities? And if so, which ones? Because this is the topic where I can name you millions and billions of different insecurities. And moreover, we can name stuff that others will totally not understand in some cases. Because insecurity is such a peculiar thing that it affects people. For example, everybody thinks that they're a model, but they feel totally insecure about their appearance. Yeah, you're the best candidate if mod comes up, but I know you're taking notes. I did, but not anymore. Yeah, Kiwa would be the candidate number 1 for moderation. So let's discuss the paradox of insecurities. Beautiful people thinking they're ugly. Ugly, or something about them makes them ugly. This paradox of insecurities tells us that, and one of my insecurities is knowing that when to chime in is during social gatherings. Is knowing when to chime in during social gatherings. Haliko, hello. You're in orbit. Thank you for sharing that. People who are joining, what insecurity can you locate, can you identify right now? Let's start discussing. Throw your ideas on the chat. So the paradox of insecurity is that beautiful people can be thinking that they are totally ugly. A lot of interviews of models, like supermodels, you will open them, they will be like, no, beautiful people, matching some conventional beauty, having some harmony about them, but they will be telling that since childhood they thought that they're absolutely ugly and nothing has changed. Or it would be beautiful people, everybody says that, wow, you're so gorgeous, you're just a god or goddess of beauty, and they will be like, but what about my ankles? Or what about my behind my ears? There is a little tiny bone that sticks out in such a way that is totally ugly. This phenomenon also exists, where beautiful people will be trying to pick themselves up out and seeing what is possibly wrong. So they will identify like this much about them is absolutely beautiful, but their focus will be somewhere like this, where they will invent something absolutely terrible that depreciates them. So this paradox that I want to illustrate here is that even people who have a lot of good things about them, in the concept, hello, open diary, will manage to find something negative to drag on. And this is one of the things that is a very important key to understanding insecurity. Its nature and how, in fact, unreasonable the reasons for insecurities are, and or how minute they are, how absurd they may be. So in this example, yes, a wonderful, just everybody says that you are a goddess of beauty, but the person focuses on the area behind their ear where the bone sticks out, and they feel like they will forever be shy about it. Why focus on this? Why not focus on all of these beautiful things that exist in this person in the appearance alone. We're not even touching up on anything that makes them up because they're far more multidimensional. There are layers and layers of beautiful things that define this person. Many attributes here, many layers. With their character, with their intelligence, with their talents, with their relationships with others and such. No, we will fixate on the bone behind the ear. And through this paradox, the question that I'm seduced to ask is, what is the worth of this mechanism in human psyche? Shuriken, hello. So why? What for? Not even why, but what for? What for would a human focus on this thing? Why not focus on these beautiful flowers? No, this doesn't happen. Or why do they bring it to the world as the centerpiece? Why not go focus on something gorgeous and beautiful in all other layers? Why not? Why act as if this thing is almost disabling them in something? And Yuri brought up, one of my insecurities is knowing when to chime in during social gatherings. Insecurity, which can be formulated, I don't know when and how to communicate, I guess. Let's generalize it, make it bigger a little bit. I struggle to be socially comfortable. We have decided on one thing: don't care what others thinking about us, even if it's a positive thing. This open diary is a good thought because that when you enter a certain flow in life, this is when you stop having the concept of self. You stop thinking about your qualities as like, I had the live stream in which I depicted there is like a wall here. The wall of ego. And then people who are who live like this, who are just fixated on their ego, they just look into this wall. They're unable to look at the path that is in the opposite direction. When they use their ego as the foundation, as the driving force for their desires, they're unable to do that. They always return, their attention is always looking at that wall with the writings on this wall, trying to analyze something about themselves. This is the trap of like trying to like perform this, not even self-reflection, but to perform this like excessive self-analysis. Thank you, guys. If a person turns towards their path, they will be using the resource of their ego instead, as opposed to just sitting and fixating like, oh, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. And this is a good foundation for this conversation. That the person, for some reason, does not face their path. They're not facing their path. They're facing their ego and trying to pick this thing, as if looking for justification to not actually live their life, to not actually embrace their path. They're looking for a reason for this little speck on this beautiful cake that represents their whole like richness of attributes and resources that they have, that would allow them to walk this path brightly, confidently, actively, with a lot of gifts, with a lot of give, with a lot of exchange with the environment. No, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to stare at this wall, picking myself into atoms. And so this is where this question, what for? What for that goddess-looking model will be focusing on the area, on the sticking bone behind their ear? What for? This will be one of the therapeutic targets that I would locate. What for is that? What for to be insecure about anything? Because one of the things is, okay, some person will come and will have a decisive move. The request that is stated as, I don't need this insecurity, I want to get rid of it. But somebody else will come and will say, I have this insecurity. I am very insecure in social gatherings, for example. Or I'm very insecure about the bone behind my ear. If they live with that, if they settled for having that, why? What is the instrumental goal of this addiction to this reflection? Imagine it's like this person like focusing on this brick instead of walking their path. They're just all their attention is focusing on this brick. And using the principle that there is nothing redundant in our body, there is nothing redundant in our psyche. Our body and our psyche are always working to keep us alive. We need to determine what is the function of this behavior. Why does this addiction to staring at this brick exist? Why is any other option less interesting? Hello, support staff. Still me? Thank you. Hi, Chunky Cat. I saw your video. Are you working tonight? Yes, I mean, that's what I'm doing currently. But sometimes insecurities are real and that people will make fun of them or gossip about them. Let me introduce you to the... Okay, so Tyler Diaz. Too much religious agenda. Insecurities are surely real. The feeling of insecurity, the focus on this brick is for sure very real. In that people will make fun of them or gossip about them. What you're saying is that if you are fearing that people will gossip or laugh about you, or not about you, about some person, there is a huge complex of things that's in that issue. Why are you fearing? Why are you focused on the fact that people may be gossiping about you or laughing about you? Why is worrying about that and trying to mold yourself into something for some specific people that you think will be gossiping about you or laughing about you more important than being yourself and finding the way and finding the life path that will be developmental, comfortable, aligned with your authentic self? Why is that more important? To focus on that idea that somebody will be gossiping and laughing about you. What does living, what for? What does living in that state do to you? Why is that more valuable than literally anything else? This becomes our therapeutic goal. Which people, and whenever we break down these problems, we need to identify which people are going to gossip and laugh about you. In which circumstances are they going to be doing that? What will happen if they gossip or laugh about you? And what are you losing? Walking your path is the path of courage. It's the most rewarding, it's the most abundant, it's the most energy-infused, healthiest path, yet you're not choosing to claim that path, and you feel like focusing on something that constitutes your insecurity is more valuable. The insecurity disappears with acceptance. Acceptance takes place over time, provided it's the same people involved. When new people are introduced, the cycle starts again. Then insecurity doesn't disappear. It's the property, this is this brick in your mind where you somehow find shelter. You find shelter in it. You're hiding from something inside of insecurity. As if something must give you permission to do something. Or as if you want to have a barrier to doing something that you really want. As if you don't feel that you have enough energy to embrace your path. Or courage, perhaps. Is it too strong of a statement in this regard? It's vastly easier said than done. I know, but it's true that people only have as much power as you give them in terms of people talking about you, mocking you, and so on. Yes, we elect our judges. And when we elect our judges, it means that we grant the more rights over our life to someone instead of us. We always elect our judges. We elect our judges. And by doing so, we are basically taking responsibility from ourselves for our life, and we're giving it to them. We entitle them to making choices for us. Because if they say, means that, no, don't do this, they made a choice for you. If they say, ha 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 ha, this makes that they disapproved of your path. They made a choice for you. You put your brain, you put your responsibility, and gave it to someone. Why? But because they have more time to focus on others' insecurities, or they have their own insecurities, they have to cover that. If you be yourself, I think you will eventually find your circle of people naturally. It's often true, certainly. Yes? Moreover, when you are being yourself, you're not lonely, because when you are being yourself, when alone without many people, you're not lonely. Because you are lonely when you need when you're in pursuit of some spare set of eyes. That's what people usually confuse with loneliness. They cannot live without a judge. They cannot live with someone who they can delegate responsibility for their life onto. That's what people often confuse with loneliness. I want my life to be seen and better monitored and also verified by somebody else. It's often not a pursuit of genuine friendship. It's often not a pursuit of genuine intimacy. It's often a pursuit of someone to take responsibility for their decisions, or the lack of thereof. Fix my life, here, you person. Or tell me, validate the idea that I don't have to live my life. No, tell me. Be that brick. Be that imagination, this idea that somebody will laugh at me. Be that person. Ha ha ha. Have you seen this idiot? Oh my god. What did he do? Ha ha ha. He posted this dance on social media. Ha ha ha. And that tells me that, oh my god, I will never post a dance on social media ever again. Or I will never open social media ever again. Because of ha ha ha. Even though I want to. Why don't you try on drums or movie? What is it right now? It's effectively live movie. Expounding on that idea, people who behave in a more consistently authentic manner will likely end up with friends better suited to them. Better friends, simply put. Yes, the path of authenticity leads you to true intimacy. Because when you communicate with people as elected judges, or maybe people who are like, no, well, this was cool. this choice of profession is definitely very suitable for you. Well done. But this hobby, I would say that this hobby doesn't suit you really well. And also the choice of clothes you make is very bizarre. So probably reconsider that. So this is what people sometimes seek as communication, or that's what they attract as their communication circle. And that becomes, I'm exaggerating, but that becomes the substitute of social interaction, social circle. Thank you, Kurt. When you are authentic, you can speak the truth. You understand that your world exists and somebody else's world exists. And you come together and you can have cordial conversations. As opposed to electing each other as functions. Limited functions, some avatars. So, with every trauma that still exists, with these insecurities that are still lingering, the first question we ask ourselves, what for? What does having that insecurity protect me from? A model with that little thing behind her ear, this little bone, perhaps protects her from claiming that she is the goddess of beauty. Because it's too arrogant to say that. Instead, what happens is that it's too arrogant to be focusing on this bone behind the ear. It's too arrogant to, in general, stare at that wall. Whether you perceive yourself as the goddess of beauty and you have some concept about it, that, oh my God, being goddess of beauty is such an important role, I'm so entitled, I'm so gorgeous. Or, oh my God, everybody says that I'm a goddess of beauty, but then there is this sticking bone behind my ear. No, 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 I'm not that perfect, everyone. Have you heard that? Instead of just recognizing that nature gave you beauty. And you are, without any bias, just accept it, face your path, and walk it neutrally. Without any associate, like without any ideas, without ever dwelling or making a big deal out of that fact. With ease, you are just treating it as a resource, as some foundational resource that exists in your life and that you can use and enjoy yourself. No, there's no enjoyment. There's no enjoyment in those features when there are concepts about it. Why, I'm so dumb. I couldn't solve this problem yesterday in the homework. But you literally have all A's in every freaking subject. You always ace every course. What are you talking about? This problem was insanely hard. No one was able to solve it. No, you don't understand. I'm so dumb. If you only knew, I probably will fail the next test. And I will have D in this class. I'm so dumb. All of that theater. I watched so much of that. Why have that? It's always this balance because of staring at this wall. You just were not able to solve that problem. Ask the professor for how to solve it if you want to know how to solve it. And move on. No. What for, we may ask? What for to have this concept? Are you trying to be more relatable to feel belonging? Or what is that? Why do you need to find this little sliver, this little speck on your absolutely wonderful reputation? The same ick we can get from like watching some, those flawless wives. This is the ick of the same kind. Oy, oy, oy. I haven't vacuumed behind the couch. So that desire to face this wall instead of living life is what I always identify in these cases. Where insecurities form. Shall we talk about it? Well said. A lot of people essentially think of others as cardboard cutouts. Let's turn back to the example that insecurity in social gatherings. Insecurities in social gatherings. Do you actually enjoy social gatherings? What do you want to get out of social gatherings? How do you perceive a social gathering? How do you perceive it? Who are you socializing with? For what purpose? Do you have answers to these questions? Who asked this? Yuri, I think, asked. Yuri brought it up. Social gathering, do you perceive it as something like this? All eyes on you. Everybody's watching. Everybody must validate you. Everybody has a formed opinion on you. Everyone went there to show off. It's a super important networking moment. Everybody is building a conversation. You feel left out. Hello, Chad. The air is electrified. It's an insanely scary moment. There's buzzing in my ears. And it's an insane, pressing moment. And I need to perform. This performance feels like something incredibly important. I start sweating. I start shaking. Some strange energy in me. I feel like the air is vibrating. I feel like I'm vibrating inside. And everyone is watching me. So what are you doing in that social gathering? What are you doing in that social gathering? Are you invited celebrity there? What's your idea about yourself in that social gathering? Do you have a program that you promise to show? There is like some concert that you need to throw. Why is there hierarchy between you and other people? For you to be something like this, and other people looking at you like this. Dance, monkey, dance. Why is there hierarchy? Why are they the adults that know better? This is a very bad arrangement, but what are you doing in that social gathering? Why are you not partying with adults? Why are you thinking of them as adults? And you as something smaller than that? Yes, sapiosexual, my sketch was a little bit bad at some point. I'm introvert. Parties are my worst nightmare. Elmond, I know your specifics, but we did one practice with a person on social anxiety. At parties, I'm either at the back or the front. I'm introvert too. Some people have different friend groups, like friends that maybe they drink with, or friends that they work with, and maybe they golf with a lot of different groups of different reasons, for different reasons. Yes, good surf, right? But why is there this perceived dynamics? That these people know better, and I don't. Watson, hello? That these people know what they're talking about, and I don't. But at the same time, I need to throw a whole performance to them. Why is it like this? The reason here may be that you forget in the moment, one of the things, you may forget in the moment why you, to begin with, why you came to this party. When you have prior commitment, it's very easy to conduct conversations. It's really easy to communicate with people. When you know who you are, when you walk your path, you go to social environments with a clear idea of who you are, what you want, and what you do. These three components are pretty much enough for being comfortable in social environments and knowing also the context of the party. You're invited to the party, you more or less know what to expect in general terms. So you go there with a clear idea, you can formulate the idea. So the tip for anyone with such insecurity is, again, to not focus here, not look here. Turn around, go on your path, and see what benefits you are going to be, Naman, hello, what benefits you're going for in this party. If it is to spend a good time, what is your recipe for having a good time? Having a good time with other people. What does this mean? I am comfortable. I am cheerful. I'm doing things that I enjoy. I'm exchanging energy with others through conversation and through dancing, whatever it is. I know, for example, that sleep is very important for me. I know exactly when I will leave this party. I have prior commitments. I'm on my path. I'm walking my path with an idea of who I am. At the same time, I'm open to some spontaneity perhaps that night. If I enjoy someone, I can talk to them freely. I came to enjoy. It follows my goal. So I look in that environment which source of enjoyment I may have when I look on my path. Or I may hide in this ego, regress a little bit into some interesting state of mind and sit and stare at the brick in my wall. Just pick it. Which is, I'm not on my path. I'm hiding. I'm not myself in that moment. I'm like this. So the homework there, one of the homeworks, would be to find this path. But then remember, we also did this wonderful practice for everybody with social anxiety would be good. So we used social anxiety to power up the persona that would be capable of more confident, more smooth walk on the path. But the idea of prior commitment is something that I want you to ingrain, because prior commitment will save you from so much discomfort in life. It's wonderful. You know, when you have conversations when you, for example, were not prepared, you were like thrown off by someone. I gave this analogy. Imagine you're just like, you didn't have clear plans for the evening, but you just wanted to do something on your own, for let's say. And someone calls you, your friend, and they're like, urgently, in half an hour, can you come help me move my furniture to another apartment? I need your help, like 5:30, we're meeting, urgently, we're meeting at 5:30, you're going to help me move my furniture. You're like, okay, I guess I will come, because you were caught off guard, you didn't have any solid plan, you didn't have any prior commitment. So you're like, okay, I cannot just say that, I wanted to rest tonight, or I had other things to do, or wait, can you tell me more? What's the urgency about? You are caught off guard. It strikes you directly into some complex of yours wanting to be good, for example. Also, in the way that somewhere here there's a brick that forces you, I must be a good person. And you're going to be moving furniture in half an hour. When you have prior commitment, for example, you have a class at 5:30 or at 5. You will easily tell this person that, I'm sorry, I have a class at 5, very important one, and I will be free at 8 p.m. So if it's still relevant at 8 p.m., I can maybe help you then. But I have a prior commitment. You will easily say that. This analogy applies to everything. If you know what you're doing, you're going to use better discernment in assessing what you want from this experience. And with that, you'll have a lot of confidence and ability to communicate with people from the leadership standpoint. Leadership being on your path. I'm on my path. I know exactly what I'm doing. I came to this party to have fun and charge and meet 10 new people, for example. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to inevitably enjoy my experience because it matches what I want in life. But if I'm not in my leadership state, and moreover, I don't casually exercise my leadership state, I did not have a clear idea of why I'm going to this party. I'm just like, wherever life brings me, I'm going to this party, and whenever some discomfort comes, I'm going to face the wall, and I'm going to start picking on this brick. Meaning that you start getting sheltered, start getting socially awkward. You start behaving in a way that everyone is big and smart and you're dumb and little. You'll regress into the childhood, into some traumatic childhood event that brought you to having this insecurity or hyper-focus on that trait to begin with. Somebody mentioned what develops insecurities. Different events. Shuriken mentioned different events for sure. As easy as, look at this girl. This girl is laughing so gracefully and everybody loves her. And you are not so emotionally open. You look very different. Or your laughter is ugly. Laugh differently. So yeah, the child just stops laughing. The child starts developing this observer, this internal set of extra eyes, the judge, that guides their experiences. They lose the ability to experience things from within because somebody told them something very unfavorable in the moment of vulnerability. So insecurity is born in the moment of vulnerability when you develop this observer set of eyes, these creatures who always look at you from above and don't allow you to experience things, who don't allow your personal authority over your path. This feature becomes so important because, for example, it meant safety for you. The fact that you are laughing in the wrong way communicated to you that your mom doesn't love you. Your mom is irritated by you. My mom loves some other girl. My mom loves some other girl, not me. It's perceived as like a violation of security, potentially. So I am going to do my best to fit in this idea of how I should behave. And I grow this creature in my mind, this judge, that hinders my ability to experience things. Because at every point, imagine at that party, at every point in the party where we experience the social awkwardness, there is no, it's not a system of me as I am, other people, and environment. No. There is me, little mini me, there's a split. There's a mini me, there's a judge, and there are other people who I entitle to be my judges as well. So there's mini me surrounded by these big judges in my mind, in my imagination. Mini me doesn't know what to do. Mini me is an object of somebody's actions. Mini me has life happening to them. They're not living life. They have life happening to them. They're not in their leadership state. They're not walking their path. They're there to be provided security. The expectation is security. The expectation is belonging. The expectation is safety. The expectation is love, acceptance. Those things must be achieved at that party. Are they going to be? Party is not made for that. The party is not made for people to feel safety, security, acceptance, and love. The parties are there for people to enjoy their time in some light, bubbly fashion, to meet each other, have some conversations, and create some beautiful time. But the expectation in that scenario doesn't match the scenario, doesn't match the setup. And then this sense of inadequacy grows out of proportion, because on the one hand, I am there to receive something that a little child wants to achieve, wants to receive from adults. So, am I good? Am I going to be good? Am I going to be safe? I am in this state, and at the same time, the judge also recognizes that it's inadequate. So the tension grows out of proportion, spiraling up the inadequacy. And that's why insecurities have such a tremendous effect on people's qualities of life. The judge that sits there. Oh, your boobs are sagging. I had 27 women before you. And, this is the first pair of boobs that looks like this. Just so you know. But no, let's continue. This heard in the moment of vulnerability is going to create the judge. Now, this woman will not be able to enjoy any form of intimacy without the viewing set of eyes that must assess the appearance of her body parts. Experience becomes observed from within and not from a friendly standpoint. Boobs. Hello. You do go to parties or have insecurities. I don't know. I mean, to parties, what to do at parties? When parties are with some theme, yeah, I love them. I love meeting people. I like talking to people. I just talk to everyone. But parties, dedicated parties, haven't gone to one in a while. But I like talking to people at the stores, at the concerts, whenever there is any like social gathering. I started having a habit of just talking to people. I love it because it's very cool to smile at people and have eye contact and see what they do. It's cool. Very pleasant experience. Whitson Tertullian agrees with me. Thank you. What are we learning today? Insecurities. Love when you get into character. Thank you, Kurt. 27, yes, Hippocrates. All great artists doubt their talent. We'll talk about that. Some don't even know they have any talent. It's just something they do. Exactly, that's the point. It's just something I do. As opposed to, there is this creature sitting and this creature makes me look at this brick in the wall. It's like stare at it. Because some event there and then seeded that creature. Which pleasure, which enjoyment, which experiences? No. We're on stage. We have quality control. I like doing party tricks, playing that drinking games, but didn't really just conversate with someone I didn't already know at parties. That would be an interesting challenge to do, to talk to someone you don't know. All great artists doubt their talent. That's an element of narcissistic trauma. That's being that model who is very picky about something. Why have a concept about your talent? Or why do you want to, like, either feel like I'm the greatest thing that happened to Earth? Okay. Or be like, I am nothing. I am nothing. I am dumb and giftless. Why having these moments? Why? This is an energy sink. Partially, society imparts that. Because being great at someone, we know that it becomes the subject of some conversation or envy. Society itself, you know, when you open any social media, I follow a lot of like fashion magazines and stuff for my inspiration for my sewing. And the articles there sometimes are mind-boggling. Is this the new breath of fresh air in fashion? Meet some, I don't know, we'll name the name. Look at how fantastic her appearance was. Will she ever surpass the beauty of her mother? What the fuck for? Does this exist? But this is the social context that we exist in. This is some culture, I guess, to control people, because this is literally disabling a lot of people. This attitude disables people. When you follow some media that tells you that this is not acceptable, look at this horrible choice. Will she ever balance in her style? Some serious makeover needs to be done for her to be able to enter the high society. You know, there are access codes to this party. You need to be someone. You need to show something of value to be accepted in this circle. You know, I remember this notion struck me especially hard. I was in Dominican Republic. It was 2019. I went on my solo vacation for the first time. I was on solo vacation in tropics, literally like paradise. And I was so like tired. I decided to make this vacation literally just sleep, swim, suntan, eat fruits, delicious food, and don't care about anything. Just spend the week like in total rest mode on the beach. Do just the things that you absolutely want. And I brought my sketchbook as a creative entertainment. And I brought some French novel from 19th century. And at one point, I remember I'm laying under the palm tree in total bliss. The palm leaf is tickling my legs with every wind gust. I'm literally in such a bliss, and I'm reading this novel on the beach. The two guys came to the opera, and one guy was thinking what the other guy was thinking about the appearance of this lady in this dress that was making these noises. But this lady was definitely thinking and appearing at this gathering with these thoughts about the imperfection of some imperfection. And these guys were thinking and saying stuff about this gathering, about her mother, about some intentions of thoughts and some, oh my God. I was like, at some point I was like, what am I doing with my life right now? I am in literal paradise. There is music playing, there are cheerful people, very happy people around me. He thought what he thought and could not think the way his dignity and her thoughts and her dignity and her lies and potential thoughts and dignity and thoughts and gossips and thoughts of the high society and his hat and her dress and his hat, her mother, father, grandfather, godmother, godfather, all thinking about this and dignifying. I closed this book because I realized something. And this is those hands that turn people to focus on this stuff, enslaving them at this wall. The mastery, any master, if you want to be a master in anything, if you want to live the master life, this may be only a temporary fuel. At some point on your path of mastery in anything, in any talent you have, this will become an inhibition. Sometimes, yes, children sometimes they have this insecurity locked in their performance. Can push them hard, can push them high, and move them in life. But at some point it will be hindering their performance because they will lose touch with what they're doing and why. There will be a crisis of meaning. And their talent will die, potentially with the human. This is where the authentic path of mastery rejects this idea. The earlier the better. To find the fuel without digging into something in that wall. Without this observer, what do you really want? What do you really want? When you have insecurity, ask yourself many times, this is an exercise for everyone. Have any insecurity? Ask yourself, like iteratively, 1,000 times if necessary, what do you want? The exercise goes as follows. I'll do it with you right now. What do you want? Right now I want to Right now, I want to sit more comfortably, actually. I want to sit more comfortably. Then, probably I would actually benefit from a drink. Actually, I want to have a drink a little bit. It's a little bit far for me. Then, I probably would want to maybe I would like to eat a little bit of nuts right now. Then I want to go to the beach right now. I want to order myself sandals and have it done with. I want to buy tickets to go to Rome. And so you go and you ask yourself, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And you start with little things and you warm up the skill of understanding what do you want. What do you want is the only path to authentic desires in life. What do you want? And it's very specifically important to ask this question many times. Because at first, it's hard to find what you want. On question number 10, you will get into the flow probably. And then you will understand what life you want. You will draw the portrait of your life. I'm not going to do it right now, perhaps, because I have some interesting things that I want. So, and perhaps I don't want to share them yet. But in privacy, you may state everything that you want. And this is the way to turn to this path. And then you can revisit. Okay, what I want, does that coexist with this? Can I keep doing and do what I want? Or is it necessary to do this, to do what I want? For example, I'm a talented photographer, but I have insecurity that my works are too basic. My works are too basic. I'm very insecure. That's why I'm not going to offer services to people yet. I'm just going to do free photos to people and post them on social media. I'm just going to photograph nature or architecture, post them on social media, and maybe somebody will notice me. I'm not that great of a photographer. But I want to be a great photographer. I want to be making living. I want to make 6 figures off photography. Does your idea that you're a bad photographer, holding on to that idea, does that idea match your goal? Do they live in the same domain? If not, okay. If you feel like you're a bad photographer, ask yourself, can I do anything to improve my skill at photography? Oftentimes the answer will be yes. And you need to ask yourself, what do I need to improve about my photography? And write a list of everything that you need to improve. Then execute on whatever you can. And create a business plan. Okay, if I want to make 6 figures a year, doing photography, I need to have these many clients for $100, these many clients for $1,000 per photo session, these many clients for $10 for photo session. So what do I do? Let's see, if I go with $10 clients, I'm going to burn out. Will it be adequate price? Maybe not. So maybe I need to charge $50. Okay, this is comfortable. Let's find clients. And I am ditching this idea because my focus is that I am there. I am making $100,000 a year doing photography. And I'm improving my skill. I'm executing on steps to get me there, not here. I can spend eternity with that thing. And this is skill-based insecurity. This is not an imposter syndrome insecurity, so to speak. Insecurities with intimacy, let's say. That story. Her boobs are sagging. So I need to, I don't know, wear bra. I need to use some poses for that. Never knew that it was an issue. Probably that guy that I had 5 years ago, probably that's why he left me. You need to think, okay, what do I want? I want to enjoy intimacy with a pleasant person. Pleasant, good person with good relationships. Okay, but I have insecurity about boobs. Can I have insecurity about boobs and have great intimacy? No. What can I do with that? You can ask yourself, is it imperative that the person that I will have great relationships with will be having the same preference to the appearance of boobs? Oh, unlikely. So I identify that this person exists and is possible to be intimate with them and enjoy. Then, how can I figure it out? How can I primarily start enjoying intimacy again? And I start coming up with a recipe. I start identifying that there is an observer. I start thinking, where in life I have observer? Where this observer thing kicks in? Where can I practice it? Do I have an observer when I do, I don't know, some cooking? Where do I have an observer when I walk on the street or when I eat at the restaurant in public? Let's practice. How can I just experience things? And I go and start practicing experiencing things. For 2 minutes, I am going to sit and just experience things, and then I will resume my performance if I wish. So I go to the restaurant, I go and sit like at home. I relax. I may follow some social, of course, etiquette, but I am going to be relaxed at the restaurant. And I'm going to enjoy my meal as if I just made it myself, served it to myself, and without any observer, totally relaxed, on my terms. Okay, 2 minutes passed, it worked. Okay, wonderful. Now I can do whatever I wish. Now, walking on the street. Can I walk on the street like on a soft carpet in my apartment? Can I sense how I walk? Can I walk in some different pace? Can I slow down? Can I pay attention to the clouds? Can I pay attention to people? Can I feel like I'm just at home in this world? 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes I'm doing this. And I'm walking like on a soft carpet. And I'm sharing this bliss with the world. As opposed to, everybody's watching. I need to have certain stride. I need to have certain pace. Of course, if you're leaving the subway, perhaps it's valuable to have certain pace, but when you're just walking casually, I am walking as I wish, not as if everybody's watching. Because susceptibility to those insecurities with that glance, this authoritative glance from above, this judging eye, often it transcends just one area of life. It's usually that in one area of life it's most prominent and painful. But it may be in other areas of life. This is why practicing it in other areas of life is also important. And then you extrapolate that, okay, I have a problem with having an observing judge. But I understand that this observing judge, in many cases, is absolutely harmful. It's excessive. And I start experimenting, turning it on and off, or reapplying it somewhere. Another thing is where we place this observing judge. Because when we have this situation, this is disabling situation. When we take this judge, we turn the situation the other way, we can walk side by side with this observer. The observer shall not disappear completely. The observer should monitor where it should monitor. For example, we can hire this judge, we can hire this critic to assess our business markers. Am I hitting my business goals? And I am fully embodying this judge, and I'm looking at my business goals, and I'm using the brain of the critic to think critically, assessing performance, looking at the data. This judge is not here. The judge is here, helping me, not abusing me. I am employing the judge. It's my employee. Because I know what I want. When I know what I want, I hire staff to help me make what I want. And I hire this judge to be here with me, assessing my work, the performance that I'm performing, the operational power of the structure I'm building on the way to what I want. But judge shall not be here judging my experiences. Poo poo poo. Bad book. It's a good question, but impulse is telling me there's no difference. There's one cognitive function behind them, regardless of how major that function to personality. Why do introverts recharge when they aren't around people? Oh, so much I missed. Introverts are recharging because we had the trip, we had the one body of work where introverts are basically living oftentimes not in their comfortable domain to begin with, not in their comfortable energy to begin with. It is often the sense of hyper-importance of performance. It's often the feeling of hyper-importance of some social context. It's this. And then introvert, extrovert is kind of smears, I think, because you get tired from throwing on a show. You get tired when you are doing something that's performative. When you are an introvert and you go to the party, and when you can freely say, for example, you don't feel like having a conversation. When you are fully embodied, you know yourself, you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing, you're prioritizing yourself and your interests. You have prior commitment. You can say that, sorry guys, I want to go pick up something at the bar, for example. And you go, and as an introvert, you go and do what you want if you feel like you're genuinely tired. Or in a social setting, you can be a listener. If you mess, for example, you don't want to chat, you don't want to perform, you want to just listen. Allow yourself to listen. If you agree with yourself, if you know yourself, you're like, I'm a good listener. And you're just sitting there, and if some awkward silence happens, you can always smile it off. And people will ask you, why are you not talking? You're like, I'm not big of a talker, but is there anything you want to learn about myself? And that is the mastery of proper breathing. That's the mastery of, again, removing and employing the critic as opposed to being guided by the critic like this. By this observer who seemingly forces you to perform and throw on a show. It's not necessary. People are people. Everybody is the same, pretty much. People want the same things. Everybody wants to feel safe. Everybody wants to feel good. Everybody wants to feel comfortable. There's nothing new about people. The way they achieve those things may be perverted, for sure. But on the ground level, everybody wants the same exact things. So when you're in social gathering, you are surrounded by people who want the same exact thing. And the more comfortable you learn to be, the more comfortable it will be for everyone. You know, there's show Everwood. Very surprising show, because everybody there seems to be so aware. Everybody communicates their feelings very clearly. We just watched it before we left the US with family. Kind of was a ritual, and even got attached to the characters in that show. So in Everwood, everyone is like super aware, communicates exactly what they want, and everybody ends up being very comfortable in social scenarios because they are authentic. And they communicate their thoughts. Doesn't feel like a very fatiguing experience. But even if it is some like fake party, some networking event when you need to be performing something, don't go to that meeting with the expectation that it will be your loving family. You're not going there to meet a loving family. You're going there as a part of your work duties. You're going there to network with your coworkers for the sake of your work. So if you go there with that idea, you also are not having any expectations, because this fatigue, needing to recharge, it's often also that expectations are broken. Then extroverts regret things they say, and introverts are afraid to say things and regret not saying. One difference I can think of. It's witty. It's a good question, but I'm not an expert of, but I feel like introverts and extroverts are more likely to have specific struggles based on their strengths and weaknesses. Childhood insecurities will be existing in adulthood. I didn't escape the matrix. What's the matrix? In that sense. Is being alone, isolated, make you introvert and less confident? I mean, when you don't practice, when you avoid, let's say, when you already create loneliness and isolation from some discomfort of being in public, then it is likely to reinforce that behavior. If you are naturally seeking company, but some circumstances made you more require, for example, you need to work a lot on your own, it is unlikely that you will develop some crushing addiction to loneliness, because that's just, you'd never had conflict with that, with social environments to begin with. So logically speaking, it's unlikely that your structure will change. You may develop some habit of it, but it's likely that you will not be even in that situation to begin with. Oh. Just because a person isolates or alone doesn't make them an introvert. That's also, I mean, introverts are very blooming in the company of some people. It depends on the context. Introvert and extrovert is very polarized, very artificial division, because there are extroverts who completely lose plot in some conversations. I had this scenario when I said something, it's a little bit outside of the context, and I remember seeing that, like, error 404. And then extrovert kind of gets shy and feels insecure, even though they're accustomed to talking to a lot of people. But I perhaps maybe have some cultural differences somehow threw person a little bit off, because of maybe I didn't appreciate the context well enough. So an extrovert feels weird in that moment. Or introverts, again, they can be very sociable in comfortable environments. And that's the question, why is some environment comfortable? Why some environment is uncomfortable? And that's often the matter of discernment. Do you understand what you're doing when you're in these uncomfortable environments? And also, is it your authentic self? Are you your authentic self who is a leader of your life? Are you? The practice that we did back then with Lise on social anxiety was to bring up that leadership component, leadership energy, to be able to come to social environments from that state and live in general, gradually develop a habit of living from that state, resourceful state. Resourceful in a way that it's relaxed, it's in the understanding of your preferences, what you find beautiful about life, and being on this path. Does this all make sense? Or am I just blah, blah, blah? I've taken Adderall basically my whole life and it's helped me very much. My girlfriend doesn't like that and I take it and I feel like I have to hide when I take it. Now that's my insecurity, Trip says. I feel like I have to hide it. Because you want to avoid conflict, right? Conflict is unpleasant to have. Are you afraid that your girlfriend will leave you? Or that there will be some room for manipulation? And that's like balancing, it's balancing the victim, basically. And balancing the victim is not a good game. Not a good soccer game. It's best to make it, probably best to try to have conversations and to come to terms with each other's truths. And also listen to the arguments in civilized fashion. Because that's not a healthy situation, I don't think. Or maybe, I mean, what's healthy situation? But it's just there is a feeling that it might spiral into something. An introvert on their own isn't lonely, but usually the opposite of an extrovert. Yeah, but then I'm 50-50 sometimes. But exactly, become extrovert sometimes and sometimes introvert. Exactly, Naman, you're just voicing that. Veering towards my personality type. Yes, prefer being by myself, but I like small portions of socializing if the people are easy to be around. Yes. Hello, Uncle Buddy. Regardless of personality archetypes, so Ryan Nodi needs moments alone or moments of conversation. That's the easy fix nowadays. Which one? Everybody never thought about that. I relate to the walking thing a lot. Wayne, hello. Damn, coach, I've been getting stuck at work and home for a few years, and now I had to learn to be okay with eyes on me, so this hits hard. That's crazy. This is literal insecurity. I want to walk confidently. Why are your legs and arms are dumb? I really don't like the judge behind me. You see how you can employ it, because the judge persona, you already are familiar with that feature, but you own your mind. You know, there's also this aspect of judge being here is who is the employer. If you own your life, if you're a leader in your life, then you're going to be the employer. If you are the employee, what we started with, when I elected authorities in my life, I chose the judges, I chose the authorities, and I give them the ownership of my life, that's when you are the employee. You are the one who is going to be manipulated by those things to stare at the wall instead of walking your path. So if you become the employer through understanding what you want, you can start assigning the roles. Okay, this archetype that I'm already familiar with. I have an archetype, by the way. I have the feature of negative bitch in my head. I had negative bitch who was always judging my ideas, judging my fantasies, prohibiting me to fantasize, prohibiting me to even think about certain hypothetical scenarios. I had this negative bitch that would prevent me from doing some like wandering through my fantasy world. And that was such a debilitating experience. And that negative bitch, I had to take and put her from here to here. I don't need a censor to my thoughts. I don't need a censor to my ideas and fantasies. I want to experience them. It's very important for me. So I take this negative bitch and I put her here. And I'm like, okay, negative bitch, I'll call you when I need you. Negative bitch, please assess my business. Let's have a huge emotional, even Let's have this super powerful conversation in which we will clearly name every single flaw in my work. Let's just break it apart, tear it apart, and invite this bitch when I need some revolutionary move, revolutionary energy to my work. And that's how it feels very functional. I don't need negative bitch like right here, above me, telling me what to think and what not to think, and putting me down before any thought crystallizes into something. I don't need that. It's dysfunctional. Chunk, are you safe? Are dangerous people messing with you? Then walk with different part of your body. Get points and try walking with a bum. You know what? I don't know or care anymore. If they want me gone, please still be having life as my authentic self. Deep. That's the spirit. Everyone should start stabilizing happiness and sadness. Thank you, still me. Introvert, comfortable in this environment. I know extroverts are mostly uncomfortable to talk to because a lot of them stare into your soul or get too close or loud when they're talking to you. I guess the ones who look off into space or something that involves both of us are easier to talk to. For me, negative bitch needs to leave and I stay alone. We all have a negative bitch. So yeah, with that negative bitch, this is the moment, even like it's an internal dialogue in which you need to say, for example, negative bitch comes and starts putting down your fantasy and ideas and just having fun in your thoughts. The censorship. Super harmful thing. Mental censorship. This is the moment we need to do the reflection. We need to tell. So, you leave, go. I'll call you when I need you. You make a declaration, I want to enjoy my fantasy. And I'm going to have as unleashed fantasy as possible. And you maximize your experience. This is the exercise. You take and maximize the experience that tries to be inhibited by that thinking. You maximize it in response to that. You use it as a trigger. Remember, we have this principle in Tantra. When we use negative behaviors, when we use negative patterns, when we use some negative being not useful, harmful, not appropriate, not fitting, we take that, make ourselves aware that it exists. It's not just like negative bitch came and it's like whole fantasy died. No, I'm naming it, negative bitch came. And now I'm using my awareness about that as a trigger. I flick the trigger that is for me to now maximize your fantasy. Think about something as outrageous as possible. For example, if I want more freedom in my fantasy. Or if I, for example, catch myself feeling envy. I feel envy. My God, burning envy. And I go and I do something toward my aspiration. What I want. Or I catch myself, for example, I'm scrolling my phone again, hate it. I hate it. Take that hate and do what you wanted to do instead. Whatever habit it is. So we use the system of triggers. Every negative attitude, let it be, spiral it up, and do something that is suitable for you. Negative likes. I like the way you say bitch. Ooh. Is it possible to have high control religious upbringing instilling introvertness because I was taught of others as our group, out group, and the church was in group? My indoctrination was very deep. Where are you now with your religious situation, Yuri? I want to know my ethical boundaries before we continue this conversation, if you don't mind. Helmut is atheist. What about Yuri? Are you still in that religion or religious group? Or are you out or considering leaving? Where are you? Brought up by a very conservative Baptist, no video game, now I've gone atheist. Okay, so we can talk freely about this. High control religious upbringing I regard as having much more done, much more stuff done than just creating an idea of us and them. That's the first thing that I would basically on this issue. So I think that there's a complex of things in play. Of course, grouping yourself, on the one hand, grouping yourself as us and them, as you are a tentacle of some group, it still implies that you are socializing, you're just selectively socializing. That is, again, returning back to our introvert-extrovert very incomplete classification. That introvert is very chatty and very sociable and comfortable in some certain environments. And so is extrovert. And extrovert can be very shy in some environments, very not confident. So it is just very arbitrary division into extrovert and introvert that I seem to disagree with. And your example is a perfect illustration of that. That there was a group that was named marginally good, appropriate. Feel free to socialize here. You have shared mindset with people. There's like crafted mindset that you all should be following. There are safe topics that you can discuss and that are like nurtured. But then there are them. And please don't cross the line between us and them. Create some persona to communicate with them that will protect your belonging to us. So that division perhaps did that, not turning you into a loner or turning you into a not loner. It likely didn't have that effect. But it created the very strong observer, nevertheless. So if we say that a person with social anxiety likely has a lot of self-inhibition and a lot of self-observer, that's probably is the root of the problem. That you needed to exercise vigilance with them. And also at the same time, you needed to exercise self-control with us. Because with us, you're also expected to behave in accordance to some brochure that regulates what you shall be talking about, what you should be thinking, how to avoid the sin in your thoughts, and so on. There's just a lot of control. So the observer figure is very prominent, not allowing you to just live in fluid, in accepting spontaneity, studying who you are, knowing what you want, hearing what you want, and acting accordingly, allowing yourself comfort, calmness, ease of regulation, some mental stability, psychological resilience. No, psychological resilience was found in very strict boundaries, under huge pressure. So press yourself to feel safe. discipline yourself to be good. Nuclear reactor, exactly. So introvert, perhaps not. Person with social anxiety, perhaps yes. But with anxiety in general, because to come in contact with your wants was likely portrayed as a sin, something to avoid, because there's brochure. Don't listen. Don't listen to yourself. There's a brochure that knows better. Your life was already written. Don't need to reinvent the wheel. No. Just read the brochure, for God's sake. So that's my hypothesis. I feel agnostic, but leaning towards more esoteric Gnostic Christianity. Interesting. Off topic, your hair pulled up. Fire. Thank you. That's how my scalp felt for the first couple of hours of this with this construction. And anytime I touch these sticks, fire is exactly what I feel. But I like my hair up as well, so. Kivushka keeping up, full. Is this topic coming to some cohesive story, guys? What's your impression of that? Are we on to something? Or is it a little bit pulverized? How is it in your mind? Yuri, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your gift. Thanks. I think my peers have persuaded me that I was introvert and I found it comfortable. I've been working on being more confident and outgoing. Peers has persuaded. Yes, it's the peers persuade you are more introverted. How can a person can be extroverted, or I mean, not even extrovert. Again, I don't like this notion of introvert and extrovert. Let's just dismantle it. How can you be the classical, exemplar, comfortable, charisma guy in the society when you're walking on the eggshells? Also without permission to find that core. Everybody, I think, may discover, well, most people who identify as introverts, given that they find that ease in general, find a way to not feel that anxiety and pressure in general, who find that society is also not so much different than doesn't pop from the landscape of life in general. The ease of life, the horizon, the breath, lightness, restfulness, groundness. But this moment, comfort in this moment, full, comfortable, light, deep breath. And then society, some people show up. I'm grounded, I'm comfortable. Can I handle like, boom, one person, two people? They're just waving, hi. Can I handle that from this comfortable, grounded, relaxed state? Yes. Can I exchange a few pleasant words? Yes, I'm in a pleasant moment right now, so it's pretty pleasant. Surely can exchange something with them. Yeah. Hi, a wonderful day today. How are you? Very nice. I'm very happy for your family. And you, what about you? Comfortable, nice, easy. Can I handle if 3 people show up? Can meditate on that. I can create that in my mind and try it on. 3 people show up. They happen to be friends with each other. Is this situation more challenging than there are 2 people? These friends seem to have established circle. Do I have anything in common with them at all? Or do I feel intimidated? Do I feel left out? When I'm grounded, I'm calm, I'm peaceful, I'm breathing. I can still approach them if they really want to. I can just watch them. I can explore how they look, how they communicate. Maybe I can steal some behavioral cues. Maybe I can steal some of their jokes. 4 people show up. Now a big crowd starts gathering. 4 or 5 people. Do I feel comfortable still, or do I start feeling a little bit of discomfort? If I was to close my eyes and imagine how I would be comfortable with those 4 people, what would be that persona? What about me would need to become more powerful to handle 4 people and communication with them? Especially if these 4 people know each other. That's a challenging one. There are already some established group that I don't belong to. So I can sit and I can find what is that missing element that is not comfortable yet. Because perhaps right now you're not at that comfortable level. You're just not aware of it. Without any stimulus, you might feel totally comfortable, but you may need to find something about your persona that's not woken up yet that will allow you to handle more challenging situations. So with this social anxiety actually could be a cool exercise. You keep, in meditation, you keep adding more and more people and noticing where discomfort commences. Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Which scenarios? Do they know each other? Is it girls or boys? Who are these people? Wealth level, for example, or their education level. Are you going to be comfortable in the same room with a very renowned professor and his colleagues? Are you going to be comfortable showing yourself with them? Assuming you're not a professor yourself. Assuming you are, for example, you're a young student, and you're in the room with 4 professors. Is it going to be comfortable? Is it going to be challenging? And then there's 6 professors, or 3 professors and 3 super wealthy people, and couple of supermodel women. Are you comfortable in that setup? Why not comfortable? What about you needs to grow for you to be able to handle that setup? And you can do this meditation. This exercise for you and for everyone. You can do these meditations, these challenge meditations, to see where and when the discomfort arises and what you need to change about yourself. Yourself or how you imagine your comfort. And you grow and grow and grow and grow, and then you leave the meditation on the peak, the challenge that you were able to handle, the challenge that you were able to face, and you found the method inside of you. And you feel, for example, tired. You don't want to go further. Does that make sense? Then you can, if you have some struggles with public speaking, then you imagine the stage. You're on stage, and then you look, okay, if it's my best friend sitting down there and I need to sing a song, am I going to be comfortable? Then 2 random people coming, I need to sing a song to them. Is it going to be comfortable? Then at which number of people and which qualities makes it uncomfortable? Change what it is you need to feel. Yes, you had a situation with 3 people and me. I felt uncomfortable. I wish that didn't happen. Good reflection. Jisaki, recommendation, homework for you. Meditate on that case. Maybe even right now, if it's quick for you to enter meditation. See the distance. Some games that you can play. So listen to me. If you already closed your eyes or if you're in meditation, listen to me. The games that you can play. You can envision those three people. You come far from them. Then you walk closer to them. Wait. Keep being in meditation. There is a very important message in the chat. Joshua Nut, if you're a vegetable, you would be a cucumber. That's wonderful. Thank you, Joshua. So, three people. You are walking far from them. You're looking at them from a far distance. Then you're approaching them closer, approaching them closer, approaching them closer, and seeing how the tension rises. The tension rises, go back, fix something, and then you come closer again. See where discomfort commences. This one method, how you can do this. Then the other method you can do, as I described for Yuri in that session setup. Remove person, add person. Remove person, add person. Then you can meditate on that actually using the method of this divine union that we used. But not through divine union, but adding energy, adding some qualities to the people. You can pull up people one by one in your meditation and you watch them. You add them qualities that make them accepting, loving being, and you're connecting with each of these people at this incredibly loving state. What changes about you in those moments? This will be a very mind-blowing, very beautiful meditation, Jisaki. Take them one, each of the persons, and make them super beautiful, make them super glowing. Whatever imagery comes, to make them incredibly beautiful, loving, accepting, such that you can just dissolve in their presence, yet at the same time grow and shine yourself. Be equal with them in this shininess, in this beauty, in this love glow. Being in front of them, being with them in that space. This will be an incredibly healing practice. So this is another method. I hope Yuri also followed that along. And because you already have acting characters. And then imagine the three of them. Imagine the four of you in this circle. You do this one person at a time and then add people there. Add people. In that beautiful circle where everyone shares those wonderful qualities and grows into something wonderful. So this is how you can meditate. And then you add meditation on the most pleasant level with some relaxation, some breathing. Return to your body, but at that peak level to imprint this experience. I'm very rarely comfortable with three people. I'm with one guy or 101. The 3 or 4x thing I don't cope with very well, unless the 3 or 4 targets, then I cope. Yeah, this is kind of like, yeah, relatable for many people, I think, Hippocrates. Another very important note from Joshua: if you were a triangle, you would be a cute one. Thank you, Joshua. Positivity in a nutshell. Well, it's the method, Jisaki. There is positivity in the way that you are learning. Basically, Jisaki, what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be thinking will by no means change anything about those people in the moment of that meditation. What you are going to be doing, you're going to be cultivating in yourself the qualities that are necessary to experience the beauty of communication with these people. This is the objective of that meditation when you are growing those people, those qualities, into the most accepting, beautiful, nurturing, loving. This is the goal, because this is what changes you. This is what changes some your qualities and makes you capable of being in that role. This is the goal, Jisaki. I really want you to try. I get along with everyone, but keep my friends to a minimum, still me. Wow. That's a good skill. When I'm in a room full of people, I absorb all of their auras, energies like a vampire. Now, vampire, do you get nurtured by their energies, or are you getting infected, let's say, by their energy? How does it feel? Does this absorption have rather nurturing connotation or destructive connotation? I'm not necessarily good with hieroglyphics, Joshua. So if you can word it in words, then it would be more effective. Let me drink some tea if I have some. Do I have some? Yes. Wonderful. Okay, Joshua. No feedback there. So, green tea, yes, it is green tea. It helps me read their intentions with body language and tones of their voices, how they use the words. Okay, it seems like you were trained to be sensitive as a child. There's one origin of that, where you recognize the mood of your mom by the pace of the foot, pace of her stride as she approaches home. That's At the start, you said insecurities are good and that they keep your ego in check. Or maybe I misunderstood. No, it was a derivation from something that I said, because ego in check, we don't in general want to be in this position, to be hyperfixated and held at this wall. So ego in check, we need to work with ego in the sense that what do I want? My desire is a primary thing, and if my ego properties are impediment on my path, if this wall grows in front of me, preventing me from going on this path, whether I am fixated on, wow, how amazing, is it really me? How was it possible for nature to create this masterpiece? Or otherwise, oh my god, how terrible, so dumb, oh, something like that. Either of these scenarios will be an infringement. It will be something indicating some barrier, so to speak. Why? What is it? What is the instrumental value of hyperfixating on something? When there is like this adulation, but usually adulation also, when it's excessive, it also almost compensatory, as if there is something that needs to be said. You know, it's sometimes it's that facade that conceals some deep notion about self that prevents the action. That's a nightmare for social anxiety. Mom or dad, drink problem mentions? Good question, Hippocrates. This guy's paying attention to everything I do, and ironically, I have similar quality in reading others. Keeping ego in check, again, does your ego help you and sits as your foundation and source of your desires and your awareness of your resources? Or are you poking at your ego? Insecurities are, I don't know if they're good or bad, if they Again, insecurity is a traumatic force. So if there is insecurity, for example, I don't know, this lady who's worried about her boobs starts, because of this insecurity, starts performing and hyper performing in bed to compensate for that. Well, it will be probably admirable by some people that she's so artistic in her pursuits, but it will not contribute to the pleasure, to the experience that she has from intimacy. So it will not suit, even though it may have some admirable quality to that. Or an artist who's like, oh, I'm such a bad artist, I need to work, I will ditch sleeping, I will do something, some flagellant activities to show that. Who needs this? Usually it's associated with some social construct that worships victimhood, worships suffering, has suffering as the main currency in life, makes it as the centerpiece of existence. And this is the distorted notion that's propagated in society for the means of controlling the people. I have lucid dreams almost every night. Sometimes when I wake up, this squirrel think I'm still dreaming. Where should be waking up where I just was? Interesting observation, Joshua. Thank you for your channel. I always gain something here. Be well, still me. Thank you. Be secure, I guess. And listen to your desires. Enjoy your life. That's what we're here for. By the way, this thing happens in my relationship. Sometimes, when there is some like emotional tension accumulates and the fuse burns, this becomes the session of where we learn to express what we want. Because it almost like not forced, but it creates the forced environment for expressing these things. When you're entering this primal, absolutely primal portal in which those like wants, what you want in life, what you want right now, what you want in every area of life, just starts coming. So that's an interesting practice. But of course, it's also good to conduct in different mental states, including the most comfortable mental states, the most like peaceful routine, because every state may reveal different things. It's not only for the moments of crisis, because when we scream what we don't want, it's not so productive as much as what do you want. And it's best, for example, when there is a critical point, you may want to approach it as I want this instead of this. I currently experience this, but I want this instead. So that's some side note on this. Since both insecurities and these questions are tied to the path. I've been sleepwalking apparently. I remember everything from last night, but I woke up with a gash on my side. What's gash? And the wall-mounted toilet paper holder broke. Oh my god. Chad. When was the last time you had a dream? Yeah, last night. We're having a little bit of a break, I guess. Sleepwalking is said to be the opposite of lucid dreaming. and still me has to lock their bedroom door so they don't go outside in their sleep. We're doing the mic swap. Chad, by the way, last time we talked about that only you can fix your life. Have you thought about that? Сладенький, проснулся пупсик мой. We're on the sleep topic now. Kiva, tea time. I think probably every day about that. Jisaki, by the way, did you try to enter somewhat of meditation, somewhat of this 3 people scenario when we're doing that? If so, what was your impression of that? Or are you going to try this meditation? Doesn't have to be a huge long one, but just to attempt that. It's definitely a me problem. But yeah, did you try that thing? Oops, I forgot that I went back here. Not now. Okay, Jisaki. Since why I encourage you to do this is because you have fresh case study where you could apply it to the actual scenario. These are wonderful exercises because they have immediate and delayed effect. So, on nightmares, I'm not a somnologist, I'm not really an expert on that. Nightmares, if they are part of overall background anxiety, that's my topic. Ну, маленький, ну, хороший, пришел на видео. Вот он, on the clock. Пришел. Мой любимый пупсик. Ты мой красивый, ты мой любимый, ты пришел, ты проснулся. Ты пришел на работу, мой хороший. Да, ты пришел работать. Да, ты такой умница. Да, тебе надо выплатить зарплату. Да. Ты пришел на наше видео, моя умница. Угу. Какую ты зарплату хочешь, зайчик? Хочешь мясную зарплату? Или игровую зарплату? To be honest, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I mean, Jisaki, when you mentioned this, that you had a case when you had 3 people and you felt uncomfortable, that you could try imagining this situation and play with it in various tantric ways. Remember, I gave a multitude of examples for how it can work. Chad reports on some health updates. Okay. Yeah, everyone wishes you well, Chad. Magic Dragon. Magic Dragon, the topic today is overcoming insecurities. Alright, weekend time. Shut up for what? Thank you, Ray Channel. Yes, frequent nightmares can cause, worsen, or highlight insecurities, leading to increased anxiety, guilt, or fear of sleep. Fear of sleep, by the way, is a real thing. Any harsh awakening may lead to that for sure. So yeah, that's a good reflection, Joshua. You're right. I see them not as normal human beings. I see them as the enemy in a way. Yeah, and that's in you. It's your response, which means that your animal and your psyche, they are living in the state in which they're animals, which is when we do those practices, you are changing that feeling. Nothing changes, but you change that feeling about them. And that you will be surprised. Will make you perhaps feel more secure around them without, and it will also create the healthy boundary with them. If you feel on an animalistic level that they may be right now somewhat of a threat. When you perform that practice, it will empower you to not be susceptible or invincible to anything that in the current state is perceived as a threat. So that's how they work, and there will be many layers to that practice. Just like really will be nice to run that practice. If you want me to refresh, I can refresh if you're interested in trying it. Or if you memorized everything, so. Paxton Bear can join today. Thank you for stopping by. Very nice to see you. Have a good night. What if somebody is suffering from dissociative identity disorder? And what? Can you formulate the question in a more problem statement way? I need more details. I need to know what symptoms, what outcomes this DID has, how it affects their life, how they suffer from it, and then we can formulate the task. But so far, the problem is not stated. Jisaki, very considerate of you. But if you forgot what I proposed is first, you can study your feelings, you can walk away from them and then go closer and see what changes about you. Some like anxiety rises, and you can change. You can find the resource in you and ask yourself like, what can I change right now to make it feel different? And you switch this on, and you keep approaching them, and then you switch more of it on if necessary. Then you can have any metamorphosis in that metaphysical space. It's not a physical world, it's the world of your psyche, where you're working with your perception of situation. Then you can also pull one person and grow them to this loving, accepting, glowing, and you are in their presence also growing to that. And you are interacting, you're coming close, and you're sharing this beautiful space, then do this with the second person, then with the third person, and then with everybody together in the circle. What will be the positioning and how you are changing in that scenario when they're loving, accepting, most beautiful. Stay in this contact and then leave the meditation. How would they overcome their insecurities? No, what does this disorder uh, consist of? What is that? Which their insecurities? On what topic do they have insecurities? Then everybody tastes the same. The did is not applicable. Magic Dragon, thank you for a compliment. Somebody with the idea that thinks they're three different people. And what? What are their insecurities? This is I guess it's in the domain of psychiatry at this point, not necessarily domain of psychology, psychotherapy. So what in this situation is in the domain of psychology, psychotherapy, tantra therapy, perhaps? Because if there are multiple personalities as a diagnosed disorder, then it is not necessarily entirely the issue itself is not the target of helping specialists. It's more in the realm of medicine at this point. So I want you to formulate a task that would be relevant for a therapist, psychologist, then tantra therapist, tantra coach. What things you think those people can help with? May I ask you how you learned so much? Over time, with experience, and then did tantra coaching certification and studies. It was a very loaded course. Jisaki? Sure. Good luck. And enjoy also. Might be very interesting. Those meditations, they are so effective. They're wonderful. Because they introduce you to the thing. And they give you the method. Is it like all answering all questions in life? Well, perhaps not. Of course not. But a lot of the things, for sure, yes. Do you think hypnosis is a real thing? That your brain is more receptive to different frequencies? There's also visual hypnosis. If you're able to, if there are kind of like domains in which you can turn the control off, then yes. But there are people who are so controlling and so hyper activated at all times that perhaps for them hypnosis will be have less of an effect. Just today I was recalling a situation from my childhood when I was on the train with other people and there were some teachers, and I don't know how politically correct it is to tell the story. But there was an example that that imprinted in my mind. It was so memorable and so striking, how two women of academic build, they turned from completely rejecting a certain group of people who usually wander around and do different schemes, and they also have their own national hypnosis method to do different schemes on people. I watched how in a matter of minutes those women who were completely rejecting their services and the offerings started giving them all of their money. It was an incredible experience. I don't know how it worked, but they went like from, no thank you, we don't need this, and we'll call the police if you don't stop, to Really? Really? Yeah, we'll buy this. It's incredible. Please share this channel with loved ones. Thank you so much, Tell Me. I'm asking you, screams Joshua, with me, to admit. I don't know. I don't know their medical history, Joshua. I cannot say anything. I don't have any details about this condition for this specific person. I don't know their medical history. I don't know their symptoms. I don't know which insecurities you mean. It's a very general statement that I can Google what this condition is associated with commonly. And I can read off Google. I don't have a task to tackle right now. I want you to formulate what exactly we're working on. Without that, I am going to just do some Google search and answer in some general, vague terms. But this is not how we work. We work with the individual story. We work with mechanisms behind certain things. We work with behavioral patterns based on a specific case. We just discussed the general work with insecurities for psychiatrically healthy human. If we take this, everything that we've discussed, and apply it to a person with some serious condition that's associated with problems with compiling reality, with some very powerful disruption there in the compiler, probably none of this will be relevant or even ethical to discuss. Yeah, she needs a wee bit more information. Alikos, thank you. If they have 3 known different personalities, which one might have its own insecurities? Sure. Gotta go. Good health and wealth to you all. Thank you still me for your kind wishes, and same to you. Have a good night. Yes, this is your story, your insecurities. What do you want? Joshua, are we capable of having a dialogue? I told you exactly what I want. I don't know what you want. So we cannot have a productive conversation. I don't know what you want. I told you what I want. I want more information on the case. When do you become strong? I asked. The witch replied with a smile. When you learn to not hurt anyone. Another cause. Not hurt anyone. Anyone being from humankind or being everyone on earth. Hippocrates already wants to be a tree. Is it too late? Interesting desire. When you learn to not to hurt anyone. You cannot not hurt anyone. This is a very interesting perspective because it implies your responsibility for everybody's feelings. You don't know when you hurt someone. Your mere existence may be hurtful for someone. The fact that you are working a job is hurting a person, technically may be hurting a person who did not get your job. The fact that you're living in some building hurts animals who could be living in that natural habitat. You're hurting trees that could be growing in that natural habitat that your house occupies. Same with the road that you drive your car on. The moment you turn on the exhaust, you start polluting the air, hurting everyone around you. Everybody's life hurts everybody around. So when you learn not to hurt anyone, okay, you're making willful effort to minimize your impact, but you will always be oblivious to a bunch of stuff where, moreover, not just oblivious, but also not able to control a bunch of stuff when you do it without any will. So this statement is limiting. Plus also, when you learn to not to hurt anyone, and some person wants to be strong, they devote, imagine life in which you devote your powers to become strong. For what? Strong for what? What's in that strength? Strength for what? What purpose? What not purpose? What instrumental value does the strength possess? So there are a lot of questions to the statement in me. I think he just wants to be annoying. Annoying. Lots of wants going on. Let's ruin the spaces with detail. Yeah. Okay, any hard questions to me? Hard questions that are on topic, that are substantial questions. Not some what if there's life on Mars, okay? What they mean with great power comes great responsibility, and to test character give them power. Ух ты. The love that defines you is the love you give, not the love you receive. Ooh. What other walls do we have? No Mars questions. Great responsibility, I don't know, it's for people who are on the shore. People who have power, for them it's just their life. You mentioned walking weird. How can you fix that? What's the reason for walking weird? Is it because of you feel like somebody's watching you or what? Helping one beat their insecurities. Can you be reassuring to a partner that there is nothing to be insecure about? Wonderful question, Uncle Buddy. Wonderful question. While Chad is thinking about the reasons why he's walking weird, we're going to cover that. So we'll erase this diagram. And we're going to draw something quite similar. In fact. So we have this little child in them. That confided in you. They have this creature here. That tries to put a lid on them. Let's do some gross looking hair, like this. So this person has this situation going on in their mind. They have this little child that wants to be validated, little like thingy, and then they have this judge who tells them, you're not allowed. So they're looking for this big and mighty individual who loves them with their whole heart, this is kind of your role in this situation. Who will take this thing and will throw it out. And then this child will take you and adopt it as their adult side, or will be regarding you as that adult side. This is the situation that is important to somehow morph into this child growing up themselves, to understanding that. So it's important to strike a balance of, on the one hand, pampering them and kicking this thing out through the words of support, through the domain of where this insecurity exists, through showing unconditional love, through showing them comfort, safety, being seen, being loved. So you're on the one hand nurturing this child, but also your goal, if you want to be a help, your goal is to not become the parent figure. This is an important hygienic step there. And that's what therapists do when people with any form of these things come. At first, the imprinting that happens is that the therapist is the good parent. That's what this healing person sees and feels in them. And that's what will happen in partnership. Healthy partnership will be associated with you kind parenting them. And gradually kicking this thing out. But then it's important to not skew the dynamics in your relationships, to encourage the independence as well, such that there is internal figure growing up as this insecurity is being dissolved. So this is some comment that I would suggest you dwell on, and how to encourage the growth, how to not get stuck in this parent. Because imagine, you will kick this out every day, and it is very convenient to just have you remind about this insecurity. You may get stuck in this situation very easily, that whenever there is lack of confidence, your partner just comes to you, acts like, I feel like this is so wrong, this is so bad. And they come to you because it works. They know how to get this response, nurturing response from you. They are not going to be interested in the moment to reflect and grow this part in themselves. To approach it in a way that will allow independence on this issue. Ask questions kindly. There is a mode in which you are not a parent from above, showing the kind authority over a person, but you are a friendly presence, allowing them to think for themselves. How do you think this plays a role in your life? Why do you think you need to focus on this complex that you have? Why do you think you would want this changed? How would you imagine it being in the ideal world? Tell me, interview them. When you're interviewing them, they will start thinking for themselves. Instead of you just signing up again over and over and over to play this missing role in this child. Let them grow. Let this little child grow. Let your partner form their own responsible figure that they will employ for some function in their life. Hold space where this where this child can learn to kick this out themselves. If necessary, if it doesn't work in the moment, okay, give the soothing touch, but at all times, your thought process must be, how can I encourage their independence and growth in that? Okay? Does it make sense? And questions and promoting thinking in this person is your best ally. Without like, again, or you don't reject them. Change the pattern such that it's not every time that, oh, again, I'm like, I don't know what to do, it's so terrible. Oh, here, there. Instead of that, change the pattern to promote different behavior while being the friendly touch. Okay? Alikos, thank you. Overcoming insecurity involves building self-confidence through self-compassion, challenging negative self-talk, and setting realistic goals? Question mark. Self-compassion. Self-compassion is, again, we are beating in this ego wall. We're still focusing here. So self-compassion is, of course, important in the beginning phases, but the resolution of the problem will be when, from, in general, dwelling on this wall of our ego and our qualities, attributes, we change our focus to walking the path instead, using our ego as the fuel or as the resource base for us. So self-compassion, okay, we can revisit this wall, but I know cases when people suffer so much from lack of they suffer from this lack of self-confidence, and they try to give themselves compliments, affirmations, whatnot, show self-compassion in some ways. They're going to be oblivious to a lot of things if they're just showing compassion to something, to them, some writing on the wall, to the bricks of their ego. It's rarely working. It's rarely functional. It's the one little step in the beginning. Self-compassion, in the productive sense, is what do I want to do, and I'm compassionate about to my creative power. I'm compassionate about my creative path and what's necessary for it. And then I come to understand what's needed. As opposed to, okay, this brick has some cracks in it, or not cracks, but it has some imperfections in it, and I'm going to try to identify how I can make them perfect, how I can change my concept about imperfections in this brick, how maybe I can colorize it, maybe I put some gold in it, maybe I can like do this and that and that. We need to change the vector. Challenging negative self-talk. Challenging negative self-talk is challenging negative self-talk is also, why would you do this? You can, okay, you're still beating in the wall, you're still at this wall, like this, at this wall. You can say that, what a beautiful brick, what a beautiful brick, what a beautiful crevice, what a beautiful crack. If that has some soothing effect, okay. There's wonderful practice in Tantra, it's called mirror. And with the mirror, you do this, you shed this thing, you basically detach your idea of yourself from these like cracks in this brick. The goal of it is to just let go and turn towards your life, as opposed to sitting like this. Setting realistic goals, the realistic goals for you in the very low energy moment will be here. Your realistic goals when you have high energy moment will be here. So what is realistic? And are you willing to change the direction of life? That's another consideration here. We're changing the system. We're changing the system of life. These recipes, they rarely work like that. Without changing the system, without changing the vector, without changing the direction of our life. Again, I saw cases when 10 years of affirmations led to nothing. Nothing. Just pure affirmation. Because there's no action following them. Action is the king at all times. So we need to see what actions we can take. As opposed to just like doing this mental chewing gum. Or trying to change the concept. Trying to understand how we can think about this world more conceptually. Take a step towards your life. Uncle buddy. My spouse has insecurity of aging, changing to become something that will be harder to love, and I try my best to reassure her, but it only works for a little bit. Insecurity of aging is a real thing because there is so much fear of that being no longer desired object, being no longer the point of attention, being laughed at, it's a systemic thing partially as well because aging is in general the way we have it nowadays is a very novel concept. So aging had so many things in different cultures, up to the point that before pensions existed in Japan, they would just kick the elderly who are not capable of bringing wealth to the community. They just like throw them off the cliff. So aging, yeah, it's the fear of aging is tied to the self-worth as well. And of course, self-worth and being a desire. But there are some examples. My great-grandma, my grandma's friend. My grandma's friend was older than my grandma, so she was in her 80s. She still is. And she's been very sexually active. And her husband, her husband is incredibly jealous of her. He's incredibly attached to her. And he calls her, like, privately some, like, interesting thing. Gives him a lot of drive. It gives them a lot of spice in life. My great grandma, she was dating after her husband passed away. She was dating in her 80s and 90s, going on dates and enjoying her intimate life as well. So that is the choice, purely the choice. They're always going to be partners. They're always going to be some ways to exercise your libidinous energy. Libidinous energy is attractive at any age. It exists at any age. And if a person decides to live in accordance to libido as opposed to martido. And what's with aging, the main fear is that there will be less libido in life and more martido. So it's like person kind of claims that they will stop living and will start dying. But the question is, are you living now? Have you lived now? The best thing that anyone with fear of aging can do, the best thing, is to start living now, because there will be no better moment to get more life into you, more life into your life, infuse more. So whatever it takes to start living right now should be done, because when you're living, you're not busy thinking about what will be next. When there is there and then, you're not here and now, you're not living. Hence, you're scared of martirio, you're scared of losing libido, because you already lost it. It's not in the now. So it is a systemic problem that needs to be addressed with I'm right now choosing to be in my libidinous energy here and now, as opposed to there and then fearing martido. Okay, does it make sense? Thinking too much about what I look like to other people when I walk. Chad, have you noticed that you also think about how you appear to some abstract women, what they think about you, what you should be doing? There's a commonality with that. Someone said that I was gay when I was in 7th grade, and it still bothers me, even being a bigger, stronger guy now. Do you overcompensate that, by the way? That manner of walking nowadays? Or do you embrace the way you walk and you just feel like it's wrong? What's your approach to that? What's your coping mechanism with that? The brightest light casts the darkest shadow, and sometimes the shadow is the truth. I don't know where life will take me today, but I hope it's a place where there's peace. Thanks so much for the flower. If you seek me with love, I will always let you find me. Aliko. I know I can physically overpower most other guys, but this inferiority complex is still there. It's really weird. Inferiority coming from that comment of the walking style. I think a lot of people are so self-involved they don't notice other people's insecurities, even if it's a significant other. Hippocrates, thank you for time update. Uncle Buddy, what does this comment relate to? Say your past partners are used to the standard high energy intimacy, typical copulation. How do you present the opportunity to bring a tantric approach? They may think it's out of pocket. No, it's out of pocket when they cannot relax, for example, because tantric intimacy involves, it's on the one hand, it's setting space. If they want fast food intimacy, let's word it this way, then what are they coming for intimacy then to? What is their goal in intimacy? Are they dumping anxiety into intimacy? Is it intimacy at that point? Are they doing it just to get some like quick reward and also perhaps cope with high level of stress? What is their intention when we go into intimacy? And is it intimacy? You can approach this through agreeing to have a date, for example, when copulation doesn't happen. You can create an extracurricular session in which you're just inviting them to do some touch, to do something, to create the idea that it's possible to perhaps devote time and moment, create the conditions, create the environment where some other kind of intimacy can exist. And then you can gradually fuse the two. Or you can expand the habitual sexual context and add some elements from that context. So introduce them through action, introduce them through just creating this new domain. Two important questions are, do we control our thinking? Do we control what we say? Hippocrates argues, what are the benefits of thinking positively? What does thinking positively mean? Good and bad is useful or not useful. Helpful, not helpful. Enjoyable, not enjoyable. So what are the benefits of thinking positive? Benefits for what? Positively meaning what? Forcing yourself to think positively or actually thinking positively. Is it your natural state to think positively? Do you want to think positively or do you want to force yourself to think positively? For what? A lot of questions to the statement. Jisaki, that's wild. I wonder what was it. He who speaks of love has no. Sure. Gesture from 99. Boom. Everything you say, think, and no one affects the past and the future. It would have been both stress relief and orgasm. Sorry, but yeah. So what if they reject the romance of this and think it's silly? I've never met a partner open to tantric romance, I guess. Why is romance? It doesn't necessarily have to be like, ooh, you want to try something new? I want to be slow tonight. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be performative. It doesn't have to be excessive. It doesn't have to be, I want to feel your vibrations. Can you feel my vibrations? Let's vibrate together. Oh. Nobody says that it has to be that. So, or, I don't know, I want you to be my goddess tonight. So it just may take different form. One person, one body may want to have a rest and massage because vibrations of my feet running in the opposite direction. Sure. Uh, well, where would be the start? Sit together and talk? Where would I begin? Кузенька, иди сюда. That suddenly turns into an interesting, loaded conversation. Where would I begin? I'm just trying to put myself in the scenario, okay? Let me think for a moment. Question. Do you casually, or can you in your couple casually discuss intimacy? Do you have a culture of discussion in general? And also, by the way, no, you don't. Also, what do you think tantric intimacy? How you think it differs from non-tantric intimacy? What's your idea of that? What do you strive? Why do you want to approach it tantrically? And what do you put in this meaning? I don't have a partner now, but that was always the case. Either it was time or not. It was time or not. I wouldn't put too much into like tantric intimacy. I mean, it could be probably in some circumstances, in some corny situation, could be a pickup line. You know, let's do tantric. I'm a specialist in tantric intimacy. But I would not be putting too much potential in that. Tantric intimacy, you can practice it with the partner without them knowing about it. You can practice it while being in an intercourse with somebody else. It is the way you connect with your senses. It is the flexibility and ability to juggle different scenarios and work with stimulation, relaxation, diffusion, lead it as a musical instrument. This is the way you work with your body primarily and your mind primarily. And also how you work with your partner's body and how they can receive it. It's not something like, let's sit, there's a stereotype of that. Let's sit, touch each other's hearts, and breathe. Or like, let's stare into each other's eyes for 30 minutes before we enter the intercourse. It's mandatory. Yes, it's mandatory. Hand to the heart. My heart is here. Put it here. Thanks. No, exhale through the mouth. With no. It's all theatrical performance. Has nothing to do with what Tantra constitutes. It could be some fancy practice, but maybe you will invent something for the sake of something. And there's a lot of blasphemous literature on that. But it's not what Tantra is. A person who has healed many wounds on his own and still keeps his heart pure is an alchemist. It's pure transformation. It is consciousness in action. Hippocrates is losing it? Good. So, what is that tantric intimacy? Thank you, 95. So, you would say I should practice myself and then be a leader if I want to connect in that way. Just crave that connection. First, build tantric personality, which is authentic, embodied, that allows space and can speak the truth and has like and be grounded and calm. Then you build tantric friendship with the person, and then in that intimacy, yes, you can when you feel like you're not performing, when you're experiencing it, and they also are feeling safe and comfortable, and they also can experience that. They also can experience intimacy, actual intimacy. This is when you can start playing with different, like inviting their activity, then petting them, being very like playful, being trying different things, sensing them deeply. That's when it's done. When it is, when it's not like, let me show you a trick. Want to see something? That's it's kind of a little bit different, different realm. So, um, if you react to them by liking them or disliking them, that's not wisdom. You're simply creating more suffering for yourself. I think, Miss. Is pornography a good replacement for that stimuli that used to get from ex-partner intimacy? No. You say intimacy. Pornography is something um, that some fantasy brought on the screen. I would opt for fantasy over porn, probably. That's the word, performing. No more performing. That's always been the norm. So, yeah, performing is where today in the insecurities thing, this is performance. I feel like something needs me to perform, needs me to do something. And this is also in intimacy, that's the same thing. Somebody forces me to perform, do something. Intimacy ends there. Also, the stream ends almost there because it's almost true. That's why Tantra has 3 big chapters before Tantric sex, in the 4th last chapter. And that's what, remember when we're talking about the topic of female sexual wellness, one of the things there is to be able to approach it through clarity in your intentions, intimacy. Are you in intimacy for what? Are you there for pleasure? Are you there for experience, for connection? Are you there for power balance, servitude, for serving some social role, paying for something? What is that? Can you say what you need for your pleasure openly, without any like heartbeat, heart racing? Can then needs to work on that. Hippo, you are old, Irish, Catholic. So, Chad knows what to do. We're in flower time. 7% invested in flowers. Keyword finishing up notes. But yeah, 95 SR. You can surely practice that. Practice that on your own. Practice listening to your desires. Practice also, by the way, relaxing. You can practice the cycles of relaxation during self sessions, for example. Shuriken, the most interesting topic. You can practice also diffusing your focus, for example, during it. What does your body in general feel when you're doing it? How can you change the rhythm and also the pattern of your processes? So there are many creative things you can do. But the main thing is authenticity and like unlocking this passion, this full passion. Permit it, let it flow as the overall ease of life. That translates also in your intimacy. So insecurities, let's recap now. Kiva is finishing up notes. This is the command to recap. So we're doing the recap. Overcoming insecurities. Overcoming insecurities is insecurity usually associated with having a judge, having a view that we elected. So instead of having a judge as here as our employee, because we know what we're doing in life, and we just need a good controlling part to assess our performance on what we want. Some performance of our structure that we built to experience life. We have judge here that controls us and makes us, forces us to sit and live basically like this. With the wall that we're just scraping and like picking on these little bricks in front of us, turning our ego into an obstacle instead of using it as a resource. So it is the wall that we built on the way of our life experiences. Not experiencing life, just fully absorbed in this insecurity. What we need to do instrumentally, we need to do something and turn away and start living with this wall being our support behind, being our source of inspiration, desire, and such. This is healthy relationships with ego, which can be. So basically, we're changing the vector to follow our desires as opposed to following trying to fix some microscopic crack in our wall of our ego. Because there's this thing that sits and tries to squish and convince us to prohibit us to do the things that we love. So Alikos, thank you so much. Very pleasant compliment. So we're changing the vector from sitting and staring at this brick to walking our path. One of the practices that I proposed was the practice, what do you want? Torture yourself with this question, what do you want? Ask it 1,000 times if you need, to find your desires. What do you want in life? And also measure, we gave an example of the professional with imposter syndrome, insecurity, for example, when we need to identify whether my insecurity suits my goal or not, my creative goal, my creative aspiration, or is it sitting in front of me? So with the example of work, when we turn and formulate our desire on this path, that sits on this path, we need to identify what is missing. Because when we're facing this wall of ego, we are unable to solve the problem. Because we're focusing on the problem, not on the path for which not having a problem is needed. So we come to this crisis of what for? What for are we standing and staring at this wall? We need to figure it out and then transform it into what do we actually want. Something that's on the flow of life, something that's the flow of our creativity. And this is when we start identifying what can we do. We give ourselves a task that has nothing to do with sitting and dwelling on some zit, I don't know, or some shape of some body part. We move here. And by that, we're changing the placement of critic from being the force that pushes us to sit where we are, preventing us from action, to using our critic as an employee by being a leader of our desire. So what do you want? 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 Answer this question 100 times if needed. But through that, build the clear vision of what you want in life. What's important? Then we'd also mention important thing when your loved one is having an insecurity, what to do. When your loved one has an insecurity, it's important to create safe, comfortable space for them, but also at the same time not fall into the role of their adult figure. Because leadership is when we take our childish powers and let them grow into the adult force, so to speak, to become a leader of our creativity in the big world. So we need to allow our partner to grow their adult part, to take responsibility, as opposed to always being this cane that they can lean on through the same patterns, when they induce this insecurity, when their energy sinks and they play the same tape, they play the same recording to get the same reaction, to feel that they have this adult figure by their side. No, we need to encourage their own growth through retention of the safe, comfortable environment that makes them understand that they're seen, they're loved, they're comfortable, they are supported, but they themselves start growing. So we recommend that we ask questions that promote their own thinking. We break the pattern. We don't respond to their with the same response that we usually responded with, fueling this cycle of their insecurity. Instead, we are calmly asking them or doing something that makes them think productively how they can bounce to go on this wall. Another interesting question that we had was about the fear of aging. What to do with the fear of aging in a partner. And the recommendation there is to, in general, if anyone has fear of aging, the recommendation is to ask, are you living right now? Because fear of aging is fear of death, is fear of losing libido and everything that libido brings. But libido exists the entire time we are alive, really alive. And when we're dwelling on there and then, this is when we're not here and now, we're not fully alive. When we're focusing on martido there and then, we're not in the libido here and now, and that will be creating a regret at every moment about not having been in the libido there and then in the past. So the best thing that can be done is to enter the libidinous energy here and now. Because in this energy, in this understanding, when we are learning to experience life, when we connect with our body, when we connect with here and now, this is when those thoughts about there and thens don't arise. The desires may, but anxiety about there and thens, likely not. And life will be experienced. And this is when there and thens will not exist, because life is fully experienced. And the more fully we're experiencing here and now, the less scary it is to just move through life. The fear just loses its value. So that is something that the deepest recommendation for that case. Encourage living here and now. And actually, I didn't give the recommendation what to do with, if it's your partner, what to do with that. Remind them about that, but also perhaps distract them to doing something that brings joy here and now. Remind them about, not through age concept, no. Encourage some activity that grounds them in their body, gives them pleasure in their body. Invite them to some activity that is joyful, pleasurable, libidinous, vital, in the moment, without even dwelling on this question. You can respond something, but best to develop strategies how you together can do something libidinous, such that at the same time it does not propagate this insecurity of aging. And this is where we even don't have to dwell on what to do with aging itself. There are two directions in life. We're either living or we're aging. Choose living, not aging. That's just, the process of living is the same. The experience of living will be totally different. If you're choosing to live, you're living. If you are choosing to age, you're slowly dying. So these are two different ways of living. So, and identifying where you self-sabotage right now, what would you want to be doing, is the hyper importance at every moment, especially in the moment when this insecurity rises, because insecurity of aging is insecurity of not doing something. Why you're not doing something? Just do something pleasant. Do something that you want. Come from your desire. Fulfill your desire. And that's where the business energy is. And this is where the concept of martido just is irrelevant, because you're living. So choose living or aging. Are you living right now or aging? As in dying. So these are important things. Then we talked about what? We haven't resolved the problem with walking with Chad. We can return to that next stream, Chad. And we talked about a little bit of tantric intimacy. And on tantric intimacy, oh, by the way, such a pleasant massage. Wow. On tantric intimacy, we talked about the stereotypes of Tantra and how not to be overbearing when you are getting excited about tantric intimacy and you introduce it to your partner, and suddenly to get orgasm your partner needs to journey, instead of like journeying for 7 minutes of activity, they need to suddenly experience 4 hours of prep. So this is some stereotypical view of tantric sex, and we need to again be mindful about that. It's our own preparational work in which we learn to tune in with our experiential self, authentic self, free, at ease self. And then we can bring it to partnership, we can bring it to intimacy, even without the partner knowing about it. In whatever scenario is convenient. But also, it can be, again, depending on the couple, depending on the couple's story, there could be different approaches to that. I feel like we discussed more topics. Then we talked with Yuri, we talked about introverts and extroverts, by the way, that it's totally artificial concept. And the introverts with overall lowered level of anxiety will suddenly feel a lot of social comfort. And we talked about social insecurity as well. Social insecurity was a huge component. I proposed meditation, I proposed visualization work, the presence work, and how to deal with, how to change, how to actually diagnose yourself in different social scenarios, and how to increase the resource, how to experience the increased resource to become more comfortable in social settings. When we were gradually increasing the number of people, the number of participants in the scene, and how we can work with them. And we propose several methods, as in just resourcing yourself as a function of number of people or closeness to people or different scenarios, and also seeing which scenarios trigger my insecurities and why, and then resourcing myself in those scenarios. And also how to another direction of that work was to take those each individual people and actually in meditation try to turn them into those all-loving beings, and seeing, observing, being in the space with this all-loving being in the form of that human, and seeing what changes in you, and then increasing number of people and creating this all-loving circle, and being in that state, learning the state of how you can be in the circle when that's built on the basis of love, what changes in you and what resources you have, and bring that into real life. So this is what we've covered. What else? So yeah, introverts, extroverts, don't believe in that. Then, guys, we're discussing dreams. Yeah. Done. Questions, comments, anything. Actually, I don't know why I don't want to sleep tonight. It's 2:14, it's crazy late. And I feel like I'm full of energy still. Oh, Surikin. Yes, it is my shirt. This is a dress as well. The dress is pretty like fitted, very tailored. And it's more like a jean fabric. This one wraps. Oh. And I like it. Thank you. The fabric, yeah. Fabric is fun. Thank you. What if what I want from life is to build a family, but it's too late? Or what if? Let's formulate into a task. Okay? Kamos. I want you to formulate it into a task. Task of experience. What do you want to experience in that? You want to experience, you're building a family. Do you want to experience building a family? Do you want to experience having a family? Do you want to experience what? Let's live through that. What are the experiences? Thank you, Shuriken. While the questions and comments are going and the Steam curtains are closing, it's a good time for flowers. Так. Because people sometimes they have tasks for themselves. Like I want it's like open-ended and close-ended. Remember, yes, building a family, having children, teaching them, taking them on adventures. Building a family. What is building a family? You have built a family. What's next? What's the process of building family in your mind? If you have negative friends, should you ignore them or try to change them, or seek out new friends, or just be settle being alone but still have positive self-talk? Ignore them or try to change them. Negative friends, are they all negative? Why are they negative only with you, or are they negative in general? What's their negative? Are there moments when they're positive? What are they positive about? Seek out new friends. I mean, if it's feasible. I don't know how feasible it is. But this is your life. This is the part of your life. Oh, that's a cool color scheme. So pretty. Thank you. That's cool. Imagine if there were emoji options that you could colorize and do some cool things with. Building a family, having children, teaching them, taking them on adventures. Do you realize that building a family, first of all, building trusting relationships is a process? Then having children is also a process. Experiencing that. Then teaching them will be a small sliver of experiences, perhaps, because teaching them, you will be teaching them something from time to time. Otherwise, they will be busy. You will be busy. They will become a routine. So what you're thinking is that family is going to become a routine. We will not see it the way you see it now. It will be a process. It will not be a milestone. It will be a process in your life. Что это такое? Извините, пожалуйста. The friend's question may be necessary to do some cost-benefit analysis necessary there. Potentially make some hard choices. Also, by the way, you're asking me, Elmond, I forgot my magical question. Why are you asking me if you should do something, if you should live a certain way? Have you made a choice yourself? Should. Let's think of the question how. Kiyushka. And our forest Hippocrates want to be a tree earlier in the stream. And now embracing the green theme. Thank you so much, Hippocrates. Also, personally, I try to think in terms of helping people rather than changing people, if it came to that. Yeah. And helping also with some finite goal in mind, not just becoming the helper, the clown. Or finding also, by the way, Elman, there is an interesting notion of how you can reformat your friendship, because if you are two of you with your friend, if you are on the path, if you're doing something, you're not going to be negative, positive, you're just going to be doing things and enjoying mutual presence. One tip that I can give you here is think how you can reformat your relationships. Because one same person, if you sit with them in the same environment somewhere at the coffee shop or at the bar, and you're like, well, tell me, how has it been? Oh my God. I don't know what to tell you, but it's exhausting. And the story begins. As opposed to when you break the pattern of your relationships a little bit, you invite them to different experiences where that bullshit is irrelevant. Because a lot of times people are invited, they feel invited to complain. There's another facet to it. Some people are not conducive of sharing good things with them. Also, there may be no culture of sharing good things with them, with people in general. Because as if you share good things with this person, what if they depreciate it? What if they will be envious, or will you feel like maybe there will be something not wanted? So it's cheaper to say something negative, because I feel safer sharing negative with people. There could be an element of that. This is why I suggest that you revisit how you build, what's the space of your relationships, how your relationship is organized. If you go play tennis, you, for example, rent a tennis court for 2 hours, and you play tennis together, are you going to be complaining? Or are you going to be like two happy animals playing? If you are going to, like, let's go to the park, let's buy ice cream on the way, and let's do something like funny, are you going to be complaining or going to be negative? No, probably not. So if that's a variable that you can tweak, think in that direction. I observed and experienced wonderful makeovers when I changed that. It works super cool. Even if you don't change experience, you can change your responses. You can change the story that you are telling. Because another element thing, Almond joy, my almond joy. Another thing is, what do you yourself fixate on in the conversation? Be mindful how you respond. A person can be like, I don't know, it's just so crazy. And then when they say something good, you're like, mm. And when it's something crazy, you're like, oh my god, really? And that gives a lot of approval to that story. Can you approve something else and not feed that direction with that energy? Because a lot of the events, we can exaggerate them in the negative field, or we can deliver them neutrally, or we can deliver them positively, productively, depending on who's listening. So there might be some homework to do on your end, Almond. Really, because if you are that savior, let me give you a valuable advice. Let me support you through these difficulties, and you feel your self-worth through supporting them through their difficulties, then you are, without even being aware of that, perhaps reinforcing that behavior in them. You're promoting that. You're encouraging it. When you're behaving in a way that, let's enjoy our time together, let's make life better, let's create something better, you're going to be the leader on the path to something better. And that will reveal a different side in the person. Or this person will lose interest in you, nature will fall off. But then your friendship was built on you being the, tell me more, how you suffered. That was your friendship then. If there is no facet that is capable of doing something, well, it was wonderful, and I really want to show you something cool. Let's go do something. I want you to try it at least once, just for me. I want you to experience this with me, or just watch me do it. It's amazing. It's fantastic. So what leadership you're showing? Got it? Or I guess, get what I'm saying. Kiwishka with fairies today. Butterflies and fairies. That's my time for the day. Zayan? Okay, so no more questions. No more questions. Just Almond, respond if you vibe with that or not. Let's just do some closing notes, everyone. If you have anything to say. Oh, my favorite butterfly. My lilac. Thank you, Kiushka. And I'm gonna go walk my dog. Tulipsy cube. Delicious ones. They look like zephyr. You know zephyr, Kiva? The dessert. Actually, recently saw this zephyr bouquet. One lady makes super realistic peonies and roses and different flowers made of similar to marshmallows, but zephyr. It's a whole art. It's so insane. Whole edible floral arrangements, so beautiful. Loads of questions, but man, they will stay. Hippocrates, you know my email. If you want to write questions, we can compile a whole live stream out of them. Shuriken is should probably put more flowers. Shuriken is heading out a weekend. Thank you so much. Keep safe while you're out in the middle of the night. The only threat here is animals, Shuriken, so domestic but running free. Thank you so much for your care. And I'm out in the middle of the night with a dog who cannot stick up for himself. Kiva is encouraging the floral explosion. I'm also trying to keep my voice down because the sound insulation here is not 100%. Oh my god. Mm. Did you enjoy the stream, guys? Coyotes. Some got in my yard last week, and oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. Camos. That's crazy. Shuriken, thank you so much. Thank you, Kiva. Happy to hear that. Hippocrates enjoyed as well. Great. Again, my concern was a little bit whether we compiled it in a full composition, because it felt like the same with female sexuality. It felt like there could be more said. I feel the same right now. I feel like I could be talking more on the topic. So that's why I wanted your feedback on that. I feel like we can expand on that more, and we can expand on the sexuality topics more. So yes, that's very sad. About the coyotes thing. Should worry more about that. Coyotes might be interested in the puppy than you, but generally stay away from people. Mm-hmm. Most of your audience is male? I need to check nowadays, by the way, Almond. I don't know. The apartment complex where I live, it's set up in a way that we have a lot of internal courtyard that's fenced off. And then it goes like in multiple tiers. And then we can go outside and go a little bit in the wild. Makarov in your back pocket. I don't know legalities about that. Also, there is the whole pack. You need to be, and if you're brisk, then you need to be very calculated with your approaches. Sushi fabric on Mood Fabrics, Shuriken, moodfabrics.com. That's where it was found. I don't know if they have it in stock anymore though. I seem to buy fabrics that runs out of stock. But I think it's their internal collection, so it's rewardable. So we can be put on the wait list. Moodfabrics.com. It's in New York City and in Miami. They ship all over the US. Yes, exactly that. Alright, are we all set? Are we all done? Shuriken, by the way, I won't say anything. Enjoy Mood Fabrics, please. It's an addictive. If you get into the flow, it will be an insanely addictive experience. So I really look forward to seeing where it will bring you, because on Mood Fabrics you go there once, and if you find that it's in your element, good luck. Good luck to your budget as well. Oh, and Kiva has to check the email. By the way, I noticed that somehow emails didn't send to various people. It's also, I use Outlook for that. Outlook is freaking nuts. It says draft on the emails that were sent, and it didn't send the emails to 2 or 3 people. So I resend them. Kiva, I don't remember. I'll check if I sent it. I think yours didn't send. I think I deleted the Draft? I was cleaning the email because it was just not just a draft, and everything. All right. Yes. So workshop tomorrow, and yeah, we'll see the ones who signed up. And everyone, bye bye.